Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 3. Today, we will introduce ourselves to map making with Python, and we will do that with the Python Folium library. So let us quickly take a look at our agenda for the day. So today, we will introduce ourselves to Folium, and of course, how to make maps with Folium. Folium, it can do simple and a little bit of advanced things also. And so as I was preparing the notes for today, I realized that I may not be able to exhaust all of them in that 1 hour space. So there's high chances that we will do Folium also tomorrow. But if we're able to exhaust everything too, I think that should also be great. So this one doesn't need any introductory explanations to any concepts. So let's just dive in and then start creating some fantastic maps with Folium. So I have my Visual Studio Code opened. Let me bring it up. And then in here, let me also send it to full screen so that everything will be large for you to see. Okay, so I've created my day3.ipynb. And if you look inside my day3 folder, you will see that today I'm not starting it empty. I have some 3 CSV files, buildings, rows, and trees. These ones were generated by AI. I just needed them for demonstration purposes, so I made AI generate them for me. So if you look at them here, this one in particular, the buildings, just the building name, the description, and then a set of coordinates that define the building. So if you have some data on your machine that you can use for such a purpose, fine. If not, you can get some. And if I have to share this data too, you can let me know, then I'll share them. So at least we all know that we are doing the same thing. But these ones are not actual data. I cannot use actual data on my PC because most of them too are data for people that I am working with or for. So let us see how we can get to the Folium matter. So creating a simple map. And then the next one will be code. And all we have to do is to, let me select my kernel. Okay, today I may have to zoom out a bit because of the nature of Folium. I just hope that you still see the thing I type. So we have to import Folium like this. And then all we need to do to create a map is to say maybe map. That should be equal to Folium.map. .map like this. And then we have to specify the center of the map, where the map should start from. I've not really tried it if I can create the map like this, but let's see. Okay, let's just do what is right. So we can say location, and then this can be a list or a tuple of coordinates. So a coordinate where the map should start. So if I should choose maybe 6 and -1, so coordinate 6 and -1, and then after that, all I have to do is to call the map like this, and then once I run it, I should see my map over there. So this is where the map took me to. Okay, so this is where the coordinate 6, 1 falls. So we have our map. It is interactive. You can zoom in and out. This one was built with the default styles are OpenStreetMap. So if you are familiar with OpenStreetMap, you should recognize this one. So out of the box, this is scrollable. You can interact with it. You see some controls here. We'll be adding more as we go along, but you can zoom in and out and do all the fancy stuff that it will allow you to do. One of the things that we can do also is to, okay, I have to now be zooming in and out of VS Code because I want you to see what I'm typing also. We can choose to, you can see that our map is just blank and has nothing here to show. We can choose to add a marker or a point to the map. And so let's see how we can do that. If you want to add a point or some marker to the map, everything should be in between the variable that created the map and when the map was called. So everything that you do should be in between this. And so what you do is to say folium dot marker. It calls them marker. And then you can see that we have circle marker and all those ones, but we want a simple marker. And then this one to specify the location of the marker. So that one too, in a list or a tuple. So if I specify a location of, say, the same 6 and then -1, and then what I have to do to see it on the map is to say dot add to, and then what do I want to add it to? I want to add it to the map. It's just as simple as this. So when I finish this one and then run it, and I scroll down, I'm expecting to see, I think it's, yes, it's this one. Now this our point is here at that particular location that I specified that it should be, which is -6 and then 1. But we can make this, you see that when I click on it, I see nothing. But we can actually add some attributes to this one such that if we hover, either we hover over it or we click on it, we should see something pop up nicely for us. So that's one. After the location, I can also add what you call the tooltip. And maybe the tooltip will say, click me. Save it. Okay, so even on auto save, so just run it. And then this time around, when I put my mouse on it, you see that, you see, it says click me. So that is the tooltip. That is when you hover over it, that one will show. And this place here, we can actually make it, if you know a bit of HTML, you can actually beautify your tooltips and pop-ups. There's another one that we can also add that is called pop-up. And then maybe we can let the pop-up say something like, hey, you clicked me. Okay. And so if I run this one, what will happen is that if I hover, I will see click me. And if I click on it, I will see a pop-up that says, hey, you clicked me. And as I said, if you understand HTML, you can even beautify these things the more. So let me cut this text off. And what I want to do is to put it in an HTML. So a very large heading H1. Don't worry if you don't understand HTML, it's completely fine. You don't need it to do pop-ups, but if you know how to use them too, you can really style and beautify your pop-ups. In case you are building a map that is supposed to show some tabular data and you know HTML, you can dynamically pass in the data to a table. So you can write the HTML somewhere and then call in. You can convert it to an F string. So for instance, this is what I'm saying. This is not complete HTML, but let's just assume that pop-up data or pop-up text. So let's create this variable called pop-up text. And then set it equal to this, our HTML, which is, by the way, not complete. So I have to complete it this way. And so if this is to be an F string, what it means is that I can pass in some dynamic data here. And then let me import random from this place just to show you. You don't need to do what I'm doing. It's just a proof of some concept. So I can say random dot randint should give us some random integer between maybe 0 and maybe this one should do. So what this code will do is that every time we run it, it will dynamically pass a random number between 0 and 100 for us. So that is what I was saying, is that if you know some HTML, and this is being formatted into an HTML, if you know some HTML, you can use it, maybe fetch the data from a CSV, a GJSON, or some sort of a shape file, and then the attributes can populate the pop-up. So in this case, if you want to really describe this pop-up, maybe it's a building with some attributes. So the attributes can be nicely formatted with colors and everything here. Even if you have to insert an image, you can do that with the HTML. So I will run this again. And this time around, what will happen is that if I click on it, you see that because I used HTML to format it, my pop-up is now very, very large. The text is large in size. And this number here, 53, was generated randomly. So if I run it again, click on it, now I get 89 because the number was randomly generated. That was just to show you that you can pass in your data dynamically. So let me take this number off, which, by the way, is not really doing anything. Okay, so I can even go ahead and give some styling here. And then I'll say that let the color maybe be red, like that. If I run it and then click on this, you see that the color is red. So there's that flexibility with Folium to customize your pop-ups in any way that you want to. Okay, so that is how we add a single point, or like we call it, a marker. Let me give a comment here. Adding a marker. There are other ones that we can also add. As I said, the default is OSM, and the default tile here is OSM, but we can change it if we want to. It's quite easy. This place, we can pass more than the location. If you put your cursor on it, you see all the things that you can pass to the map object. And you see here that there is one called tiles, which is currently set to OpenStreetMap. That is why I told you that the default map tile being used here is the OpenStreetMap. So you can override all of these defaults by your own numbers where you see appropriate. And so let's see. There's a zoom control which is set to true. We can also enable the control scale, which is now set to false. If I zoom, if I come down here, you see that there is no scale here. If I add control scale equal to true, what will happen is that I'll see the scale down there on my map. So control scale equal to true. And then when I run it, when I come down here, I see my scale, which changes as I zoom in and out. Okay. But if you want to also change the tiles, let me bring these ones on separate lines so that it will be more readable. You can say tiles equal to, I know of OpenStreetMap. There's also one called CatoDB. Then I think it's Positron. I'm just hoping I got it right. So if I specify it this way, Let me see, maybe it will be even in the documentation. Okay, so there is OpenStreetMap, which is free. There is Mapbox Bright, which has limited levels of zoom for free tiles. So let's just use the Mapbox Bright and see if that will work for us. Okay, we have an error. It says the built-in template for that one have been removed. Okay, so I think it's either they are not supported or they are passed in a different way than I'm doing here. So let me just go back to the CatoDB positron. I think that one still works. So this one is also one of the map tiles that we can use. And this same CatoDB, it has a one which is dark. So I think it's called dark underscore matter. So when I run this one, now I have a dark map like that. But I don't know which case will make you use this. I think that the OpenStreetMap, the default is just so nice and cool. So this is it, that we have created a simple map, added a marker to it. Let me run it again so that I have my beautiful OSM. Okay, so how do we also add something like a line? So you can think of this one like a point. So there should be a place where we can also add a line to our map. So as I said, everything that you will be adding to the map, if you want it to show on the map, it should be between this place where you created the map and then where you called the map. Because of want of space, let me bring everything on one line. And then, because all this can fit on one line. Okay. Even this, but I think it is nicer if it looks this way. Okay. So here is, we are looking at how to add the basic elements, point lines and polygons. So adding, it's called a polyline, just like Shapley calls it. So that's one too. Let's say we have a pair of coordinates here, coordinates, and we said that it should be a list of lists. So the first point on our line should be, maybe, don't forget that it's a list of lists. So if you open the first square bracket, open another one for the first point. The first point coordinate, let's just make it 1, 1. Okay, because we are around this space, let us try and give numbers that are within within this place. So maybe I'll give 5.5 here, and then maybe minus 0.9 for the first point. And I need at least 2 points to define a line. So I'll put the second point there, which should be maybe 5.8, and then maybe I typed something wrongly here. 5.8, and then maybe negative 1.5. I'm just looking for numbers which are close. So this is it. Our line consisting of 2 points. And then if you want to add the polyline, what we do is say Folium.polyline. And here we also pass in the coordinates. No, it's called locations. Sorry. Locations will be our coordinates. So the locations of the points on the line. And then we can also add this one to the map.add to, and then we want to add it to our map. So it's more or less like you are loading layers onto your map as you do in those software. So I couldn't guess it so close. So our line is kind of so far from our point, but no problem. That is all cool. Okay. So that is our line over there. But there are other things we can add to the line also. So we can actually specify maybe color. The color, I'm just hoping that the most popular colors, if you pass it in raw like this, it should work. I'm hoping it will work. Okay, it did work. You can also pass in specific color codes, and that one too will work. I think what I can do is that I have to define a zoom level on my map so that I don't have to be zooming in and out like that. So zoom start, this pop up, and let me, for the zoom start, if I put one here and run again, you see that the map zooms out to the maximum possible. So one, the lower the number, the more you zoom out, and the higher the number, the more you zoom in. So if I put it at 15 and then run it, I should, okay, that one has zoomed me in too much. I want it to be such that the line and the point will show. So here, let me come up and then maybe make it something like 6. That one too looks like too much, maybe 8. Oh. Okay, I'll take this 8 like that. Okay, so that is also how we add a line also to our map. And don't forget, we can add a tooltip to the polyline also. So that one too, there can be tooltip. Those things are shared among all the markers that there are. So I can put here my awesome tooltip. And then when I run, that one I didn't give it. You see, when I put it on it, my awesome tooltip, that appears over there. Okay. So that is how we also add a polyline or a line. If you are wondering how I know how to add these things, if you put your cursor on the polyline like this thing called the documentation will pop up. Maybe you will not be able to understand it technically, but if you look at what we call the parameters, you should see that it's taking locations, which is a list of points in latitude and longitude. And then, so that means that the points that you pass in, it should be latitude first and then longitude. It takes a pop-up, which is an input text or visualization for. So you can just focus on the parameter side, and then you see all the things that it can do. This thing called the smooth factor, if you are plotting maybe a road, you have a point for some road network or anything that is linear that you have collected maybe on the field, or you have been given an assignment you have to analyze, and you want to smoothen it, you can use this smooth factor to smoothen it. So that one, what it will do is that it will simplify the polygon for you. So I think it uses the principle of line simplification to make it very, very simpler for you. Okay. So let us look at how we can also add a polygon also to our map like that. And for that one, I will not like to type all the coordinates out. I have it here in my notes. So what I'll do is permit me to copy my coordinates and paste it here. So adding a polygon. These are my locations, the locations for my polygon. And so the normal convention, you just have to say folium dot polygon. And then we pass in the locations. That should be equal to my locations. Just like that. And if you want to see it, you have to always not forget to call the dots add to. And then what do you want to add it to? I want to add it to my map. And so when I run this one, where is my polygon? Unfortunately, my polygon is in the C. Okay. But you still can see how the polygon is created. So once you have the points there, you can just pass it in like this. The points that define the polygon. You just pass it in like that, and it will plot it for you, just like that. And this place too, you can add a lot of things in here, which I'll not do for all of them. You can add tooltip. This one seems not to have a lot of things, but you can add things like the fill, which if you say fill is true, the polygon will be filled. But I think in that case, you have to also specify a fill color. Unfortunately, I have to Okay, because we did not specify the fill color, I think we will not see it. But if I specify a fill underscore color with the color COLOR, and then if I put red in here, that should see that fills my polygon with a red color. But it has a particular fill opacity which I can also override, and so I can say that the fill opacity, and then maybe set that one to 1. That means I want it 100% opaque. So if I run it, I should see a very deep red fill because I made it 100% opaque. So for this polygon, you can add some of these things like that. But other than that, all the other stuff, you can find it there. But if you are looking for the other things, you can also add to the polygon. When you look at the parameters, it says KW asks other keyworded arguments. And it says that other valid possibly inherited options can be found at this place. So if you click on this and I open, that should open up in my browser. Okay. So it has brought us to the original leaflet documentation. Okay, so that may not really be friendly for the thing we are doing here, but let me search for, maybe I should find the polygon. Okay, that would take some time, but I think if I come here and say leaflet polygon marker, no, polygon, leaflet polygon. I think that should, I'm hoping that there will be a place that would directly take me to the place where on the original leaflet website, I can find a polygon. But I don't think it did that. And oh, okay. I was just supposed to close that pop-up. Sorry about that. So this one is in JavaScript, but if you come down, I think you should, I'm looking for the place where it says we can find the other stuff. Okay. It looks like I have to take some time and go through, which I don't want to spend the stream time doing. But I think this is the polygon and options. So there's the smooth factor over there. We can pass that one too. You can see all of these things here. You can pass them in. So it inherits some of the options from, sorry, I should have zoomed in so that you see it clearly. This is JavaScript, but if you want to convert this JavaScript to Python, this no clip, it should not be this type. You have to just make it no underscore, and then so let me just demonstrate it and show you how to do it when you are typing Python code. Maybe this will work. I don't know. Maybe it will not, because the naming convention between Python and JavaScript, usually they differ. If you see this type of naming convention, we call it, I think this is called the camel case, where the first letter of each other word, of any other word, is capitalized. But in Python, you usually see it with an underscore. This is called the snake case. So see where I put this fill opacity. If you come to this place, you see that the fill opacity here was not like the way I typed it. So you can follow the snake case convention to convert stuff. And you can also make the polygon interactive. A lot of things you can do here, so you can explore them if you think they are appropriate. Okay, so now we have learned how to add point lines and polygons. So let us move ahead and see how we can plot, in case we have a file like a GeoJSON, How do we plot it? The truth is that Folium cannot plot a shapefile directly. Okay, so the issue of adding Google Maps, yes, we can add Google Maps. Let's come to the Folium documentation. There should be a place where I can search. Let me try this shortcut, whether it will work. It didn't work. But if, let me go to the tutorials and see. There should be a place where I can see the tiles. Okay, so leaflet tiles. Let me check this first link. They say that they are a tile provider for leaflets. So, okay, this is the place I was looking for. But these ones, they are mostly in JavaScript. So you have to find a way of converting them to Python. Where's the Google one? I see the OpenStreetMap, Mapnik. I know they have support for Google, but maybe this is in alphabetical order. Let me see. No, I've passed that one. But some of these map providers are not free. Let me check this one. It says US US imagery. If I'm using JavaScript, this is what I would have done. So let me copy this part and see. If I change this tile, where's our tiles, and I paste in that, let me run it and see. Hopefully I got no error. And yes, I did. Let me see. Custom tiles must have an attribution. Okay, so there's something I'm not doing right. Let me see. And how and where do I even put this particular attribution? I have not really explored how to use those ones in. If I am building a JavaScript, fine, then I add these ones there because the documentation is clear. You just copy that particular line of code you see here, and then you have it in your JavaScript map. But this attribution is where I don't know where to put this particular one in the Python code. Let me just copy it. And then I don't know whether this map would take it directly, but if it does, then we are good to go. Okay, I do have another error. I have submitted this attribution. Okay, so there's something I'm obviously not doing right. So let me just come back to our OpenStreetMap and then let's continue. Maybe I'll try and explore it so that when tomorrow's session begins, we see how we can add Google Maps and stuff. Okay, so the next one is to try and plot a file using GeoJSON. As I was saying, you cannot easily plot a shape file inside Folium, so you have to convert it into what we call a GeoJSON. So plotting GeoJSON. So if you have a shape file, you convert it to GeoJSON. You can easily do that with code, but we have not gotten to that place yet. So what we will do is to use QGIS to do the conversion. But before then, let us write the basic structure of our map, because we create a new map here. We want to import Folium again. And then what we want to do is also import JSON. We will use it to load our GeoJSON. And then let's define our map. Should be equal to folium.map. And then let's leave it like this for now. Starting point depends on the file we download. So let me just make it 00 so that I remember to change the values. And then maybe the zoom starts. Let's make it like 10. Okay. Then let's call our map so that when we are done, we only know that we are coming to run it and then we will get it. So one data provider I want us to explore is called Natural Earth. These guys. Okay, so I was actually focused on the one that comes with GeoPanda. So Natural Earth, this website, you just go to their homepage and then we will get to download some data for this tutorial. But if you have a shapefile on your machine and you want to use that one, that is also completely fine. It will work well. So come to downloads if you want to follow me. And then I think this one is for the US, but no problem. So let me come down and I want small scale data, of course. So let me choose the cultural. That should initiate the download for me. And then, okay, I'm also supposed to select it. So let me select the details of the states and provinces. And so let me click on this one. The file size is not that large. It's just about 447 kilobytes. So this is the finished. So what I'll do is to show in folder, and then I will cut this, come to where my files are. I think it's my home, and this is the folder which I'm using, day 3, and then I'll paste it in here, and then I will extract it. Okay, so now it's extracted inside this folder, which I'll rename to, let me just rename it to, okay, it doesn't really matter, but I will open it up and this is the files in it, the shape file, and a README for you to know more about the data. So you can go through the README, but I will not do that. I think this is the README that will show you about the data or the columns that are in there. Okay. What I'll do rather is to open QGIS and then convert this particular shapefile to GeoJSON. So open QGIS, and then when it is open, what I'll do is to drag the SHP file, this one, into it. Okay, I don't even have to drag it because I added my folder as a favorite. This one is already here, and so I can bring it in. And then that is the shapefile I just downloaded. So to convert it, I'll just right click, choose export, save feature as, and this place I will change it from geo package or whatever it is for yours to GeoJSON. Click on this file name here to save it. This looks like there's a bug because when I'm saving it, it shouldn't. Okay, I have a problem with my QGIS, obviously. So let me cancel out of this. It is not really allowing me to cancel also. Okay. That is quite unfortunate. I'll leave this one here, but what I'll do is that I have the data converted when I already downloaded the data, converted it to a GeoJSON, but because this one is not working, I'll use that one. So for your case, just convert it to a GeoJSON and save it to that particular place. And then let's work with it. Give me a minute to paste that one in there. Okay, so let me ignore this QGIS guy. And then I have pasted the data, the GeoJSON inside one folder I called states. If you click on it, if you are not familiar with what GeoJSONs are, if you click on it, this is how it looks like. It's more or less like Python dictionary. And so we will load this one and then we will convert it into a format that Folium can read. You don't have to know how to write this. It is not really compulsory. If you have a shapefile, you can convert it to that using QGIS. So how do we read this one into our system? For this one, we can read it outside the map because it's not really an operation that depends on the map or the map or that is really related to the map. So read the GeoJSON. And then what we can do is that we say with open, that is the standard conversion of opening files in Python. And then I can open the states. Because it's located in the same place, I can just type the name and then state slash, did I call it states? Let me see the name. Or what you can do is to right click on it like this and then copy relative path. And so when you copy the relative path, you can also paste it in like this, and that one too will work. So I want to open it as maybe a file. But I will also have to tell Python which mode I am reading the file in. And so I will have to pass it in here as a read mode. Okay. And then once I load it like this, I open the file like this, or I read it like this. What I can do is to say that geodata, that means I'm fetching the data inside the file, inside this geodata variable. So I'll let the geodata equal to JSON.load, not loads, load, and then I'll load the file, which I have opened. And what I can do to show it is to say that folium.geojson, and then in here, what I have to pass first, if you check the attributes as I showed you, or the parameters, is that first you pass in what we call the data. Okay. So data, that one equal to geodata. That is the basic thing that we have to pass in before we see anything. So we can skip all the rest and then add this one to our map. So if I run this now and something has happened, no search file or directory, the 3 states and states GeoJSON. Okay, so it has something to do with, let me change this one to dots and run it. Okay, so I just changed this one to dot/state/state GeoJSON, and then it's worked. It looks like my zoom level was not really the best. So since that one is in the US, let me come to epsg.io and then get some coordinate which is in the US. So epsg.io. Let me visit the map and then make sure that my crosshair is on. Somewhere in the US, anywhere like this. So I can copy this and then come back to VS Code. Paste that one in, and then again, copy this. And then in place of the 0. So now if I run it, I think it should be somewhere in the US. Was it? Oh, I missed the, I exchanged the positions of these ones. Sorry. It sometimes that's happened. So I missed the longitude and latitude. Okay, so this one should work. Maybe this one to maybe 7. And I think now, but still, it's still like that. No problem. Okay. One of the things, so now we have plotted our data, which used to be a shapefile, but it's now converted to a GeoJSON. One of the cool features when we are using this GeoJSON is one ability to really interact with your map. And so if I put my cursor on this GeoJSON so that I see the attributes that are available, you will see that the parameters I can pass data, I can pass a style function to style the features, in this case, the state polygons. I can also, there's one particular one here that I'm looking for that says zoom on click. So what that one does is, okay, there's a style function. There's an example here. So let me copy it and explain it. So let me just copy this one. I'll paste it there and I'll explain it. But first, let's check the zoom on click. If I set it to true and I run my map again, maybe I should change the zoom level here. Where is it? Maybe to 2. Okay, so what happens is that if I click on any feature inside my GeoJSON, see what will happen. It will automatically zoom into that place. If I zoom out and click on the one down here, it will automatically zoom me to that place. So one of the features of using this GeoJSON is this cool zoom to zoom on click. So once you click anywhere, the map will zoom into that particular place. And I think that is cool. Okay. And so the style, if I paste this here, get rid of all these dots. And let's just say positional argument cannot appear. So this is, I think, style function. Yep. So the style function, that one equal to this. Now, this lambda is used in Python to define anonymous functions. What it means is that we could have defined this particular function somewhere with the def keyword. So we could have said maybe define style, maybe style map, and then maybe we take in here something like the feature. And then we could have said that the fill color equal to blah, 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 and those ones. But we can use lambda to create that particular function inline. So look at this, my function here. This lambda function, you can look at it like this is it actually that has been translated here. So it is taking an argument x, which I am taking as the feature. So this x here is the argument. So what it means is that this function here, or this particular color properties we are giving here, will apply to each and every feature. So it will map on them because it is taking an argument x here, which represents the feature. And then it is saying that the fill color for the feature is this particular color code. I think it's RGB, so I think it should be okay. I've really forgotten what this should translate to, but I think it should be either blue or green, whatever. It should give that fill color if the name is Alabama. Other than that, it should give this particular fill color. So let's just run this and see. Okay, it looks like, okay, so I think this should be Alabama. Yep, that is why it is having a different color like this. So you can actually if you understand Python code, and this, I think this is a Python comprehension, we call it a comprehension, how you combine if statements or logical statements onto one line. So I can easily change it and say that make all of them red with the exception of Alabama that I want it to be, say, blue. And then if I run it, okay, they are working, but because of the fill opacity, this is how we will see it. Okay, so we can also choose to remove this thing from here and say that the fill color for all of them is red. And then we can say that the fill opacity, this one we are typing it like JavaScript, so this thing should go away. We are typing it like JavaScript. So if you remember when we went to the leaflet page, it should be somewhere here. This one, there was a place where I showed you the, I think it was a polygon layer. And see, some of all of this we can pass them in now because the feature is a polygon. So we can choose this fill rule, fill opacity, sorry. We already have the fill color, so let me come and add the fill opacity. But in this case, I am typing them like JavaScript. You can choose to also make it like Python. And then here, I don't really know if I pass a number, it will work, but let me just put one and see. Okay, I did not get an error, so you see that now the fill opacity is 100% red, which is so punishing to my eye. So let me just take something like 70%. So if you have a shapefile you want to plot, this one doesn't only apply to polygons. You have your own shapefile, whether it is points, lines, whatever, you can plot them in this same way. You load them here and then you plot them like that. And if you are looking for other things to add to, you see, you can add tooltip. So you can add a tooltip. Let's see. That one should come after this style function. So tooltip. And I want to make it dynamic, but I think there was, when we copied this thing from here, there was where they were accessing the, okay, so it's properties name. Okay. So that one should also be, I think should be lambda. Oh, no. Lambda. And then maybe let's make this one y. And then that should be y properties and then name. I'm only hoping that this will work. Let me see. Okay, it is working, but not what I'm expecting. It's giving me some memory address. Okay, so let's inspect the GJSON and see something. These are the features. Let me collapse the feature side. Okay. I think it's quite inside. So feature, property, and oh, this is way too much. What you are looking for should be one of these over here. Maybe, is it a name TR? It should be one of the names, not just name. Let's check name ID and see. Okay, so it is still not working like I'm expecting it to. But maybe you can take time and look through well and find which particular key really corresponds to the name. It's one of them, but it will take some time for me to go through. And that was not part of my notes. I just decided to show you how to do it in case you want to do it. Okay, so now we know how to plot our data if we have one. let us also now take a look at, we can also add custom icons if you have something like that. Maybe you have some icons that you want to show for a particular, you have maybe you've picked data for row for points, maybe trees, you have some for ATMs, you have some for traffic lights, and you want to give each and every one of them a separate icon. That is also very possible. But for that one, I don't really have an image on my PC to do that. So what I'll do is to paste something that I found at the leaflets, inside the leaflet documentation, and then I will explain it here how to do it. So in case you have your own image, you can bring that one to in like that. So add code. And then on top of this code, I will say adding a custom icon. So this is the particular map. This example, I just copied it from the homepage, from the documentation. But if you have your own icon like this, that one too should work. You see this one? It is reading it from this particular URL. But if you have your own icon, what you could have done is to just, instead of all of this, you have your icon and the shadow icon. Maybe the icon path, something like the icon path is maybe files slash icon, maybe .png. You could have just passed that one in here like icon path. But when I run this one now, it will tell me that maybe it cannot find a file not found error. So if I had it there, it would have used that one to show me the point rather. So if you want to style your points using custom icons, that is fun, also very possible. Just get the particular icon you want to use and then call folium.custom icon, pass in these parameters if you want to, and then just once you finish that and you create a marker, you can pass that icon as a property to the marker. And then it will, instead of using the default icon that it uses up here, I think it should be this one. Instead of this default blue icon, it will use your own icon to do that for you. So that is how to do it. Just create the icon object, custom icon object, and then pass it to the marker like this. Okay, so I will leave this error as it is, and then we'll move on to the next object. Okay, so we can also group our maps into something like layers. Folium allows us to do that. So let us see how we can create a map that has layers that we can even turn on and off. So the normal way is to just always our map object. Where is that one? VS Code. So I'll again import Folium, and then I'll say map. It should be equal to folium.map. This one I want it to start at a location. Some random coordinates, maybe 2 should do, or this pop-up. Okay. And then I want the zoom start to be 20. That should be all. And then I'll show my map. You already know that this will show me the map. But let's say I want to add, apart from the OSM, I want to also add I think I should pick a proper place because this 2 something is not really helping. But for the purpose of demonstration, we use it like that. I'll add a tile of CatoDB to it so that I will show you how to add multiple tiles and switch between them. So CatoDB, and then this is the positron. I don't want the dark, so I want CatoDB positron. If I run it like this, it should show me that one, of course. But I still don't see a way here to change it to OSM. And so let me give a mark down here that says what I'm doing. So this one is adding layers and layer groups. Okay. If I want to add another map layer or tile layer, it's a tile, I can say folium.tile layer. And what is the name of the tile that I want to add? The tile is, or the title, sorry. You see that the title here by default is even the OpenStreetMap. So I will leave that one. And let me just copy this and say tiles equal to OpenStreetMap. So you remember that if you want to see anything on our map, we have to call that dot add to, and then we add it to the map that we have created. So now if I run it, okay, that still didn't also show the layer for me. And that means that it's either we have not done something right or there's something that we have also not done. If you want to see the layer control, we also have to add it to the map. So everything that you need, you create it. And so now if we, that one, we just have to say folium dot layer control. We don't need to pass in anything, dot add to, and then we add it to map. Once we do that and we run, we will see our layer control over here. When I hover over it, you see that I can switch between. Okay. Maybe my zoom level should be 2 or maybe 5. I don't like this zoom I'm doing. Okay. So now I can put my cursor on it and choose between OpenStreetMap and CatoDB. But if I want to give a name to this one instead of that one, I can say name and say set that one equal to, sorry, maybe I'm say OSM. And if I maybe take this from here, let me try that and see. And then duplicate this line rather. So that I will be able to give custom names to that one also. So paste this one here, and this one will be CatoDB positron. Just hope that I got it correct. And then I can name this one CatoDB. Okay, so the default is still there as OpenStreetMap. I wanted to take this default OpenStreetMap off, but it looks like it's still finding its way there. And so we can give names to these layers and be switching between them as and when we please. Okay. Now let's see how we can add something like a layer group where we will control which things should be visible on our map and which things should not be. So one of the things I want to do is to create some markers, which I don't have to type all of them. So I'll copy and paste them. But before then, let's create what I'll call my point group. So we set that one equal to folium. I want to create a group solely for points, and another group for polygons, and another group for lines, so that you see how they all come into play. So folium.feature group, this one, and then I can pass in a name to that group and say the name is points. Okay. And then you have to do dot add to. This particular add to is very important if you are doing anything in Folium and you want to see it. So now let me run it and see. I didn't really see anything. Okay, it's here. So when I hover over this, you see that I already have a layer group of points that I can check on and off. But because it doesn't really contain anything inside it, I don't see any changes on my map also. So this is a place where you will permit me to copy and paste these points, markers, just some random points. You can see them by their names. So points within this coordinates range. So if I run it, and what I have done is that this add to, I'm not adding these points to the map, I'm adding them to the point group so that I can rather use the point group to show them on or off. So now if I come here, you see my points over here. If I come here and check points off, they will also be off my map. I check them on, they will also be on. But you see that they were showing by default when I ran them up. If you don't want that one to be the case, then inside here, you just say that show equal to false. The show is true by default. So if I set it equal to false, when I start my map, it will not show, but when I click on this like that, then it will show. Okay. So in the same way, I will add a polygon, one for line and then another for polygon. So for the sake of time, permit me to copy that one too. And then this one is for the line. And then paste that one. Okay, so this one, I think I will have to break them down on separate lines so that you can see the code. And I can also explain it well. Okay, so what I'm doing here is that I created a feature group like I did for the points. The name of the feature group is lines. The show is false so that it will not show by default. And I've added it to my map. And then what I also did is that I created a polyline with these coordinates. I set the color to blue and the weight to 2.5 and opacity 1. And so if I run it, I should see line. When I check it, you see my line over there. It comes on and off, just like that. So I also have one for polygon. So if I want to also add a polygon group, permit me to copy that one too and paste it. That one too is the same procedure. I'm adding these coordinates to form a polygon. I've already created the polygon group and added it to the map. And I've added this polygon to the polygon group. So if I run it, the show is also false as always. And then that one is also there. So I can check them on, off, each and every one that I want, choose between different map tiles and all that. So if you have your data in GJSON, you can try and plot it in here. And then you see how you can turn your layers on and off. You have a polygon layer, like you plotted it from your GeoJSON. You can add it to a feature group. Let's even try that one. Where did we plot the GeoJSON? So I'm assuming that this thing already exists in memory. So what I'll do is, okay, but I shouldn't really make that assumption. Let me copy this up to this point. And then let's come and then make some changes. So here I will say states layer, but I have to create a layer group. So maybe a states group, and that should be equal to folium dot feature group. And then the name, sorry, the name here equal to state. Maybe show should be false, false. And then I have to add it to my map. And then now I can create a GeoJSON layer, which I'll now add to this state group. So that is where I'll paste this and delete a lot of things from it. From this side, I don't need it. And then this GeoJSON, instead of adding it to map, I'll add it to state group. And I think that should be all. Yes. Assuming we did everything right. Now, when I zoom out, make sure that US is in view. And I come here, I see state. I check it, and then the states show. So if you have a couple of layers, maybe you have building layer, tree layer, no matter how your data is organized in layers, you can always create a feature group like this. And then when you create the feature group, you create the object. So whether you are drawing a polygon line or even you are loading a whole data from a GeoJSON like I have done here, just add that data or layer you have created to the group, and then you have something that looks like an ArcGIS or QGIS layer that you can just turn your layer or your themes on and off. Okay. So that is it about adding layers and layer control. I think for the sake of time, we have to pause here. I wanted to finish up with how you can plot data from this CSV, but at least we have looked at how to plot the data from a GeoJSON. So maybe you can push the CSV to tomorrow, where we will also enter into some of the very advanced and very, very nice and fancy stuff that Leaflet, Folium can help us do. So as always, I will leave a minute for questions if there are any that I have to answer. If not, then we call it a day. Okay, so one thing that I also did not mention is that this particular map, we can save the map. So I think we can say map dot, is it save? You can save it into an HTML, and so we can say here that save it as my map.html. And then when I run it, now it has saved it. When I come in here, choose to open this in a containing folder. If you're on Windows, to say Explorer, now I have this map file, HTML file. If I double click this, it will open it in a browser for me. I think it has opened it. Now this is the map that I created with my layer and everything working. So if you want to create a web map, all you need to do is to load your data inside Folium and then create those layer groups and everything. And then you see everything here will be working. Everything here will be working. If I load the points, they will show. If I load the polygon, the lines, everything that I load will show. The map has been saved as an HTML file. And if you want to deploy this on the internet, you can use services like Netlify and Co to deploy your HTML file just like that. So just like that, you have created a web map with a few lines of Python code. Okay, I know today's session might be a little bit deep and maybe confusing, but what I want you to grasp is that the basic structure for creating a map in Folium, if I choose to delete everything from here, is that you create a map object using map, call it folium.map. You can pass in layers and everything as you want. And then you call the map. And then if you want to add any other thing, you just say folium dot And all of them are coming from Folium. So whatever you want to add, whether it's a marker, a polyline, or a polygon, you just call Folium dots. And then once you type Folium dots, even in this VS Code, the editor is intelligent. So you type Folium dots and you leave it for some time. You see all the things in there that you can add. So whatever it is you want to add, you just click on it. So if in case it's a rectangle, which we have not done today, and you don't know what to do to create a rectangle, all that you have to do is to put your cursor on the rectangle. The parameters will pop up, and then you can read this. So I have to pass the bounds, which is a list of points. So you just know that this one you have to pass a list of points. You can pass other things like polygon, pop-up and tooltip. And then if you finish adding whatever it is that you want to add, if you want to see it on the map, don't forget this dot add. If you want to add it to the map, just add it to the map like this. So it is very, very simple in its basic form. Just create a map and then call the map to see it. And then in between, whatever you want to add is just Folium dots. And then you add it, and then after you create that particular object, at the end, you add it to map. In the case where you are doing it for layer groups, that is where you create a group, and even that group, you also have to add it to the map. And because now you want a particular feature to be inside a particular group so that you can turn it on and off in the map, you add now that particular object will not be added to the map directly, but to that particular group that you have created. So it looks difficult at first. Maybe you have to rewatch the stream, maybe 2-3 times, but try and make your own notes. It's not difficult at all. Just create the map, call the map, and then in between, you have to put anything that you want to see. And anything that you put in between the map object and the map variable that you are calling, you have to make sure that you add it to a particular thing, whether to the map directly or a group or as part of a group. Okay, so I'm looking at the questions. Okay, somebody is saying that they have a question, but I don't see any question here. So I'll still give that 1 minute or like 30 seconds. If it should come up, then we address it. Other than that, we call it a day. So tomorrow, as I said, we will dive deep into Folium. So try and then rewatch this stream as many times as you have to understand it, get some tips before we move on to more interesting stuff. The code I use for the custom, I believe the one I use for the custom icon is what you are talking about. It is from the Folium documentation. So let me come here and say Folium custom icon. So I should be looking for the one from the Folium documentation, but I think this one should do. Usually, if you are looking for anything, you just search for it on the internet like this. Maybe Folium.icon documentation should do. This is not the Folium. Why is the Folium website not popping up? Sometimes it's due to SEO issues, but if I click on this first link, okay, so you can see it here. The first link brought me to that place. So you can see it here. It says custom icon here. So this is the place where I got this custom icon code. Okay, so just search for Folium icon or whatever it is that you are looking for. Just so if it is Folium, you want Folium layer group, just search for Folium layer group or layer control whatever it is that you are looking for, and add the word documentation. That should take you to the page, a particular page on Folium where that particular item is. So I think this one too brought us the layer control page. So for the person who asked that question, I think that is how you do it. Okay, so how to share the file on the internet? Maybe we will try and deploy a map tomorrow and make the map so that we can share the map to other people for them to see that we have done a web map. So you can, yes, we will try and do that tomorrow. Even if we don't do it tomorrow, I will do that before the camp comes to an end. And then, so someone is also asking if I can explain the parameters of the GeoJSON method. So let me see. The GeoJSON, is that one up or down? Okay, so usually, as I said, if you want to get more explanation on it, just put your cursor on it like this. I know this place might be a little bit technical, but if you see the parameter section here, it says file, dictionary, or a string. So the GeoJSON data you want to plot is what you pass here. If it is a file, then data will be read in and fully embedded in leafless JavaScript. If it is a dictionary that you are typing in, then it will be converted to a JSON and embedded in. If it is a string, then the data will be passed to the JavaScript as it is. So most of the other stuff here is also, they are all explained here in detail. So if you want, you can read about them here. Function mapping. So as I said, some of them might be very technical. You may not really understand it, but I think most of them is just straight to the point that you can just easily understand in simple English. But if you are looking at any of them you don't understand, you can do a quick search on the internet about it. Sometimes the documentation is not that friendly, I understand. And that is why we are organizing this camp. If you think there's something there that is so difficult for you to understand, even if you come to this place and read it, you don't understand, you can always send a message and we'll look at it and how to explain it to your understanding. Okay. So I guess I've explained that part to you well. So we just passed in the data, the zoom on click, and the star function. Maybe it is the lambda part that is confusing, but that has nothing to do with the GeoJSON. This is Python syntax helping us to write more efficient code. Okay, so it's almost an hour and a half of stream. Thank you all for joining today's stream also. As I said, if you find it a bit confusing, just rewatch the stream as many times as you have to. Make down your own notes and make sure you understand every line of code in your own way. If you have problems too, you can reach out and we see how we solve that one. So have a great day, all of you who are still in the day, and have a good night, all of you who have to retire to bed. Until next time, it is goodbye.